Well, good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Stephen.
We'll begin with the topic of your column today, the impending execution of 2 young Australians in Indonesia. It's hard to know what's left to say. Both governments are now backed into corners, as you put it. The Indonesian government seems to be playing hard to a domestic audience with its strange show of force in moving the men. Is it now time to focus on managing the aftermath?
I think our government is still very much focused on trying to make any last-minute appeals it can, trying to apply maximum pressure. Now, there has come at this very late stage another delay that gives the government a bit more time. My feeling is that there's a great deal of pessimism in government circles, that there's any chance of turning this around, but all efforts are being made till the very end. Now, they have had some discussion about managing the aftermath of these executions go ahead, but at this stage it's limited discussion within the government. Andrew Robb cancelled a high-level trade mission that was going to go to Indonesia, so some retribution is already being extracted, but nevertheless I think that that's being left for later.
Well, the intergenerational report was released yesterday. I'm not across the detail yet, but it seems more politically controversial than earlier ones, with some suspicion that mood management of the public has been going on. Joe Hockey warned that we would fall off our chairs, but commentators today seem to have remained safely sedentary. What's your early reaction to it?
It's a very political document, as was the 2010 report. Earlier ones were more straight up and down, but this one is trying to send the message that everything would have been doomed under Labor, that some progress has been made, but there's still a lot more to be done in terms of budget repair. I think that it has the same basic point of earlier reports, and that is that over the next several decades the Australian population is going to be ageing as a total demographic picture, and also people are living longer, and therefore it is emphasising the point that people will have to work longer, and also that to keep the budget in some sort of reasonable shape you are going to have to make structural reforms, because otherwise costs in areas like health and aged services will get out of hand. Those are the basic messages out of it, but the government is using it very much to try to emphasise to the Senate that measures that are outstanding should be passed, and also get the general point across that there'll have to be a lot of budget repair in the future, even though this is going to be quite a soft budget that is coming up most immediately.
Well, still on the question of mood, it's presumably brightened for Tony Abbott this week. An early spill seems now to be ruled out. What has happened during this week to bring about this change?
A week ago when we spoke, it did seem that there was a lot of pressure in the Liberal Party. There were people saying there should be a move as early as this week, others saying no, delay, give him more time. Now, there has been a transformation in the atmosphere just in that short time. I know it sounds amazing, but nevertheless it's true. And we've seen a few factors. One was that Julie Bishop indicated that if there was a spill, she would be a candidate. Now, it had been shaping up as an Abbott versus Turnbull contest whenever it happened, and that meant, the Julie Bishop entry meant that it became a very uncertain contest. No one would know how the numbers would fall out in a three-way fight. That was one thing. Then there was a very good poll for Tony Abbott in the Fairfax papers. The coalition wasn't ahead, but it had improved its position, and it was only marginally behind on the two-party vote. Then during the week, when the pressure went off the Prime Minister, he did perform much better in Parliament, and also in terms of policy he ditched the Medicare co-payment, he announced an increase in defence pay, He seemed to be active. He seemed to be more on the front foot. His whole tone was better, more conciliatory, less aggressive, and at the end of the week, backbenchers were a great deal happier than a week ago, and one source told me that they were getting less bad feedback from their electorates as well.
Well, we'll see whether the mood is further transformed in a week's time, but thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Stephen.